Okay. Okay. Hi, we're ready to start. And today we're doing our first case study or first sample, other than having done my chart last week. Okay, so each week we're going to take a chart, look at the natal chart, work at the transits, and try and get a time perspective on it to be able to. This is the prep work for doing consultation, and the sheets, the only sheets you really need to be looking at while you're doing the consultations. So first thing we do is you have the chart, and you have your chart calculated and the aspects made. Now in my charts, I've made all the lines in the chart a little more bold so they stand out than the a little stronger than the regular computer chart forms. So, but our first, so you can't, without some sense of the natal chart, you can do transits, but you're just not going to work really well with it. You have to have a sense of the person and the energy and the way the person works. So we're going to go through some of the steps fairly quickly. We can't do the whole interpretation thing. I'm assuming you probably have done that before now, at least looked at each planet and seen where it goes. So we're going to look at this chart, and we have our point system here. Is everything recording? Just checking. Yes. Okay. So we start with the chart. We'll start with. Sorry, get this a little bit more over. Okay, here we go. So here we have a Pisces chart, Sun in Pisces. Well, even before we do this, we should look at the pattern type. And the pattern type, see the empty sextiles, there's no empty squares all around the chart. So it's a splash chart. It can't be a splay or a seesaw, has to have an empty square. And then a sextile or more dividing it. Here, there's no empty square. So it has to be the splash. So this is someone whose energy goes out in all directions. It has a little bit in common with everyone. It's a very diversified chart with many different interests. So this multifaceted, multi-level programmer, person works on several levels or many things, can do many things at the same time, but actually get bored by just doing one thing. So you have this diversity, and as the nature of the splash type is, there's always a kind of understanding. There's opposition. There's more oppositions than conjunctions in a splash chart. More awareness than blatant action. So there's a strong understanding within this. When we look at the moon phase, we see the Sun in Pisces. We look to the opposite point in Virgo, and we see that the moon is on the rising side. So it's on the waxing half of its cycle. So we know it's a waxing moon. It's 140. We look at the aspectarian. We see the 142. We see that it's between 135 and 150. So this is the waxing gibbous phase from 135 up to the full moon. Okay, so to build up to the brightest. Here, the moon is just in Cancer. It's going to go up to Leo, and it's going to get up to the full moon. It's got 3 days, 2.5 days before the full moon. Okay. So we see the diversity. We also see that with this phase of the moon, the waxing gibbous hits the light increasing and the light getting brighter. So there's an instinctive tendency to want to be more independent, or to express oneself more independently, or to express feelings independently. There's a strong movement to move towards the light, or towards the independence or freedom. Okay, so in as many ways as possible being the seesaw. Okay, simple. Then we just look at the sun, moon, and ascendant, just to get a sense of it. The Pisces sun, the Cancer moon, and a Scorpio rising. So this is a very emotional, watery person. The Pisces is a person very diversified, has a different way of feeling with different people, and is very tuned in, being sensitive or empathetic or compassionate towards many people. With all the water, it has that sympathetic side. The dark side is it has a judgmental side. Sorry, my cell phone just went off. Okay, sorry. So we have this emotional diversity. We have the full moon building up to give us the waxing gibbous phase, building up to the full moon, and we have all this water, cardinal fixed immutable water, as the primary factor, as the basic factor of this emotional, sympathetic, perceptive person. It has all the different water. So it has the very adaptable, multifaceted Pisces. It has the very sensitive, needy, personal moon in Cancer. And it has the very strong, judgmental, intense, sincere Scorpio rising. So so this sun, moon, or ascendant, it's already providing a very special stamp on the person. Before you even get deeper, we just see that there. So if we take just a little bit deeper, we see that the sun is down in the 4th house. It's in Pisces in the 4th house. This is a low profile person, a person whose security, his home, his motivation, his personal depth, and where he's coming from is and security, 4th house issues, are the most important factors. They're the thing that build up his confidence. Feeling and being who he is in his own way. Okay, so that's this 4th house. His sun, it has the square to Neptune and the square to Saturn. So we can see this T-square, the opposition, and the 2 squares. When that comes together, when two squares and an opposition come together, it works like a complex. But this is Neptune opposed Saturn, and both of which hit the sun. So the Neptune opposes Saturn, it kind of gives you a sense that there's a weakening of ambition. There's a kindness, an artisticness, a consciousness, a social consideration to that comes in from the Saturn. The Neptune really weakens the Saturn from being rigid or harsh or strict. It makes it a little more compassionate, but also a little less ambitious. But Saturn squares the sun, gives it some need for ambition, some pressure. The Neptune squares the sun causes some confusion about which priorities. So he said, what do I do? Which way do I go? Where am I coming from? He has his depth, but it builds up a complex to making nothing up in the 10th house. So how he's living is far more significant, and he's going to get the attention and influence of what he's feeling and how he's being in the moment is going to be stronger than his sense of status and what he's doing out in the world. Or you could say he'd have to feel okay. He has to feel what he's doing. Like the career. It's funny because the mid-heavens in Leo, thanks. I'm just rambling around a little bit, but it rules the sun. So he's motivated to show, to make the showing of what he knows and what he can do and who he is. But he's not really ready for rigid or heavy discipline or authority up in the 10th house. So there's some confusion. What should I do? Where should I be? There's a certain, I would say, social conscience, and perhaps even artistic, because the Neptune weakens the Saturn. It opens up a lot of artistic insights and mystical perceptions. And the weak spot is how much he's capable of the discipline, because the Saturn squares the sun, but because Neptune's there, it's complicated, not so easy. So we're seeing his sun. We see that sun is low. So the big issue is it's not exactly career, it's what's secure. How do I feel I'm okay for who I am? How do I feel secure? My home, my family, my feelings, these things. Okay. The moon is up very high. It's up in the 9th house around understanding of traveling, understanding, having a sense of what's right and wrong in the world, principles up in the world. And there's no bad aspects to his moon in Cancer. The moon in Cancer rules Cancer, is strong, his feelings, his needs. There's no bad aspects to it. It's sextile Pluto, sextile Saturn, trine Neptune. So his feelings and his basic sense of security is strong. His sense of confidence, the Sun, is more complicated. You could say family and home and family may decide have a stronger presence. It's just naturally there, but what he does is more complicated. Okay. Just looking around, I'm just glancing at it. I'm doing this ahead. We probably should do the points first, but I'm just glancing at it since we're here. The other two significant aspects of Saturn is Mars and Saturn in the 7th house. Mars exactly on the angle. So Mars opposes his ascendant in Scorpio. So that creates an intensity, perhaps an anger, judgmentalness, an assertiveness, and perhaps a tendency to be a little impatient or easily to be irritated by people. But it does make confrontations and challenges in relationship with Saturn there, Mars there. It implies difficulty. There's difficulties around relationships. It takes time to serve it. And these things probably work out better as one gets older with the Saturn being there. Okay. So just on the other point is the Venus. His Venus is in Aries and it's in the 6th house. It's in the 5th, just in the 6th house. So that Venus in Aries is impulsive, flirtatious, wants to try things, wants to do things. It's independent. I want to do what I want to do. I want to make what I want happen. And so the having skills and being able to work and liking the skills, he has that, like that quality is there. But the Venus is it only has one significant major aspect to it, and that's the opposition to Uranus. So this Venus is very insecure. It's opposed by Uranus. There's tremendous anxiety around what I want. So it's not that he can be creative, but there's an anxiety there. There's sudden changes happen. So his emotional life tends to be somewhat insecure. And he would have a tendency to try and overcompensate, to try and be more secure. I can't let it get that insecure. I can't let that secure. And he would be working to try and make things more secure, just instinctively. So this is just a quick glance at the main aspects. I just added this in at this point. But really from here, we're really going through the steps, the first steps of our 32-point to splash, the waning gibbous, and the sun, moon, moon, and ascendant signs. Now, when we want to get the point totals to get a sense of the point totals, we're just coming cold on the chart. We're not having the history. We have the point system. I want to look at this first just for what it is, and then we'll come into the time factors. But when we look at this, just all in the signs, there's 3 points, I believe, 3 points in Pisces, I believe. There's 2 points in I balance in Libra.